Welcome back to WWTA News. Thank you for joining us once again for more financial, economic, and cryptocurrency news. So, since you came back, let's get into some articles and let's talk about a few things. We got an article here. It says Amazon's considering to accept Shiba Inu as payment. Sheep-themed dog appears on Amazon's day page. A Shiba Inu themed dog made its way into e-commerce giant Amazon's website today. The Amazon Day delivery page shows what appears to be a silhouette of a sheep themed dog placed next to the packages. Another design shows the dog breed popping its head out from inside the package and giving out a smile. Screenshots of the Amazon Sheep page have flooded social media, and excitement has touched the roof among Shiba Inu investors. Investors are wondering if Amazon plans to accept Shiba Inu as payment and will make an official announcement soon. However, not much clarity is shed on the dog-themed design by Amazon, and they've remained tight-lipped about the development. So, Shiba, I do understand it runs on the Ethereum network at this point in time. And so, trying to use transactions with Shiba is still going to cost in Ethereum right now. I don't know if that's beneficial. Other forms of Shiba do exist. They have Inu that operates on Solana, and then Inu that operates on a bunch of other different networks or blockchains. And so unless something's happening with Ethereum that I'm not aware of, it's going to be pretty tough to accept Shiba as payment, even though they can do it, and a lot of people are already set to accept Shiba. It's just that, it's not like something like Bitcoin on the Lightning Network or Dogecoin on Binance Network, you know what I'm saying? And Solana, obviously, they have Mola or Mulana and Samo, for instance. So those, and just like Stellar, XLM has Velo, and can't think of the name of the other one, but they have very easy to access currencies that run on their networks that are so much more beneficial and easy and cheap to use. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's great news. I'm a Shiba holder. I hold that coin because I want to use that coin, and I see the potential in it. So, not that it won't happen. It's saying that it could possibly be something to pay attention to. So we're just going to pay attention to it. All right, we'll keep that to the side. We've got an article here. Before Senate, CFTC cites crypto as basis for biggest expansion since Dodd-Frank. What's happening here? The Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, wants to bring spot markets for cryptocurrencies into its regulatory regime in what would potentially be its biggest expansion since the 2010 Dodd-Frank legislation. So Commodity Futures wants to get a hold of spot market trading in the crypto exchanges. So, but let's continue. In other words, that means bringing crypto spot markets under the CFT's oversight. The Commission for Futures Trading. Current oversight is largely limited to futures and derivative markets. Remember that. Futures and derivative markets. Within spot markets, the CFTC can prosecute fraud and manipulation, which Benham says that the Commission has done remarkably well. All right, so fraud, manipulation, definitely why we need legislation. But before we go any further, let's see what they mean by derivative. So I went and looked up the original definition of derivative. It's an adjective, and it's also a noun, but in this case it appears to be an adjective. Early 15th century, in a now obsolete medical sense, having the property of drawing off or away, from Old French derivatif, and directly from late Latin derivativus, from derivat, says to lead or draw off, meaning taken or having proceeded from another or others, secondary. So looks like taken. Give me that. Ante up. Looks like ante up. So futures and derivative markets. Now I know when we come into these years and we talk about trading, finances, and everything else, we're going to have a legal term for that. But everything starts from a basis, and I always like to go to the root and get the basis. So, yeah, right, taking away somebody's property, and that's the original meaning. Whatever it means today, in the sense that they use it for business, the original meaning, the original meaning, which the word comes from, it's telling you taking away, drawing up, taking away. You know what I'm saying? I'm collecting. A sense, taken away. All right. So let's see what else. It also says SE Chair Gensler has similarly talked of bringing crypto exchanges into the public policy framework. Gensler has also indicated that cryptocurrency exchanges may already be securities exchanges, though the SEC has been hesitant to act on that proposition. Okay, so we need to talk about this. So derivative seems to be taking away. Commodity is another one we should look at. And a commodity, because we're talking about the CFTC, right? CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So because we're talking about, did I say that right?
Yes, Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Sir, you said that right.
Thank you, buddy. All right, just messing around with you people, just having some fun. So let's look at commodity. So it's the early 15th century, and we love to deal with the beginning, the origin. Benefit, profit, welfare. Also, convenient or useful product. Profit, benefit. Let's see. Fitness, adaptation, convenience, advantage. Proper, fit, appropriate, convenient, satisfactory. Measure, manner. So we got benefit, profit, welfare. We also have early 15th century as an article of merchandise. Anything movable of value that can be bought or sold. General sense, property or possession is from 1500s. Okay. All right. So when we look at derivative, we're looking at something that can be taken away, right? So a derivative is something that can be taken away. When we look at commodity, we're looking at a article of merchandise. All right, so we got an article of merchandise, we got derivatives being taken away, something taken away. Then we got Gensler trying to say that the crypto exchanges need to be brought under the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, right? So of course an exchange, yes, you can say that. You can literally, if you change up how you deal with a cryptocurrency exchange, you can technically do that. The other issue with that is that you can't then carry it like a security. And why you can't carry it like a security is because it doesn't operate like a security, right? So because it doesn't operate like a security, that kind of leaves you dealing with an exchange. And it's an exchange of what? It's an exchange of currency. So this goes back to this whole commodity thing while they're trying to manage, right? So as a commodity, it's got to be an article of merchandise. And so do we call banknotes articles of merchandise? No, but do we call it currencies? Right? Yeah, right. We call it a currency. We know that gold and silver are the only actual real currencies that exist that can pay for debts or goods, right? But then we use banknotes. Okay, we use a banknote's just a note to keep record, right? To keep record of what you know what I'm saying. Just keeping record, whatever they keeping record for, that's what those notes exist as. So if they know that they have, let's say for instance, the Fed knows that they have, let's say 20 million or 20 trillion dollars, right? Let's say they got 20 trillion, right? Let's say 20 trillion. So for them to keep record, they print that value up in notes, right? Bank notes, and these bank notes, we know them today as bills. Some commonly call it a dollar bill, some call it currency, some call it fiat, some call it just notes. You know what I'm saying? Those are just notes. So whatever you call it, it's still just a note for verification of existence of currency. So if let's say you have a value, something you have a value is about $100, right? And so you want to make that value something that can be carried away in case a person doesn't want to carry, you don't want to carry that item for value. So you'll create a note to represent the value of that, which is redeemable. And so, because that note's we're getting into some technical waters here. I don't think we want to do this. So we start talking about redeemable notes, right? And so these notes then being redeemable are redeemable to somebody, right? I'm guessing the Treasury, who made sure these things could be printed. The Fed prints it out. And the Federal Reserve prints it out, and the Treasury is responsible for keeping up with this, because the Treasury would be the main bank to be the head, because that's where all the value and assets would have to be under the Treasury. And that's just what I think. I could be wrong, but my understanding, it makes more sense that way. So with that being said, then we say, okay, all right, okay, bro, okay. So then we're like, okay, so look at the dollars, right? We're like, so these are notes just to keep record of something of value, right? So it's like, oh, I don't want to carry this, so this will be in reference. So this is where we then came off a gold standard, right? Everybody remembers gold. We were just talking about it. Gold and silver were the only things that were tradable for debts, you know what I'm saying, and goods. So then we swapped that out. Well, we didn't voluntarily swap that out. That was swapped out in this system that we know as the United States Corporation. It was swapped out. And then you were handed these reserve notes. Oh, you have money on reserve. Your items that you didn't want to carry are stored with us, and we have this note to reference it. So we're talking about the whole total about currency, and why currency can't be really a commodity. The actual commodity or the merchandise we don't physically have. Now so let's say, for instance, let's just go back in time. Let's just say you have 10 ounces of gold, and you have that stored in a bank, whoever the bank, and they stored it, and then they gave you these reserve notes or these federal notes or these bank notes, and these notes say, okay, your value in your commodity, right, your piece of merchandise or your asset, right, that's stored in our bank is valued at this. So we're giving you these reserve notes that you can go out and do whatever you want with. And if somebody brings these notes back into us, we'll be giving them, if they decide to swap it out for the actual merchandise, we'll give them the merchandise for the notes, because all we care about is getting the notes back, because these notes keep a record. They're bank notes. So now we understand the whole concept of a bank note. So when you look at your greenbacks, they're Federal Reserve notes. So that's how the systems really work, and I don't think they like to So, and again, that's just my idea of how the system works. So when we look at that and we say, okay, if the banking system is working like that, then how come we don't understand it? Because we never asked questions and we didn't get taught this stuff in school. And it's up to us now to actually dig and find this information out. So let's get back to the point at hand, right? So when the CFTC is thinking, okay, well, let's get in there and we're going to regulate these cryptocurrencies. Well, technically they can't, because these aren't pieces of merchandise, okay? So first and foremost, you can't physically collect a cryptocurrency. That's dead in the water. You can't do that. It's a digital representation of something, right? That's represented a value, right? So if the representation is time or service, that's not merchandise, right? You know what I'm saying? That's like, for instance, we have something like that, and I like using this reference, AGIX. AGIX allows you to use artificial intelligence time, right? You want to get a part of their network, you can redeem service time with them with their AGIX token, all right? Okay, so that's a service token, which is redeemable to that place. So now you're talking about using a technology. Now you have to have somebody in charge of that technology, a company or a business. Now if this technology exists without somebody collecting finance for it, and it's free to the not free to the public, it's accessible to all public that has that currency, and that it might be maintained by the public or maintained by people that hold the coins, then you really can't look at that like a security or really even a commodity at this point, a piece of merchandise, because it's still acting as what? It's acting as a currency, something that is exchanged, right? So you're getting value when you exchange that. Your value that you're getting out of it is time, okay? So now let's talk about articles of merchandise, right? Commodities, right? That's the CFTC, right? So when they talk about an article of merchandise, well, and we're talking about the original definition, not the terms that they use today, because everything is based again, rooted from its beginning. So we always got to go back to the beginning and get a full understanding of what's actually being said, not letting somebody talk in code to you and trick you. Got to go back to the root. So because we understand that we're talking about an article of merchandise, okay, so let's say an asset or a commodity, right? Well, your home is an article of merchandise. It's something that you purchased. It's physical and it has value that appreciates and depreciates. So your home could, right, be a commodity. Your vehicle could be a commodity. It's an article. It's an article of merchandise. It's an asset. It has value that appreciates and depreciates. So we look at these things and say, okay, so then we can start getting a better understanding of commodities and what's valuable commodities and what's not valuable, right? So it's like, okay, so then the CFTC can't really regulate a currency, then can it? Well, not if these cryptocurrencies are effectively acting solely as currencies, right? If I sell you a token, and this token is made of gold, right? Let's say it's a physical gold token, and I sell it to you. It goes in your hand, you put it in your hand, and then you put it in your pocket and you walk away with it, right? That's a physical article, right? It's a piece of merchandise, right? You bought it, and so it's still also an actual true currency, right? But then that has to be redeemed at somebody who trades in gold, right? So that's why it's not common that most people do that, transact in gold. They transact in notes. So, but that's the real currency, right? So even there, you still can't talk a commodity. So it's like, okay, how can we say this then? So if we're talking regulating commodities, we're still not talking. You can't talk currency when you talk that, because cryptos are acting as currencies. They're literally just currencies, hence the term cryptocurrency. So let's move along. So Gensler with the SEC, with securities, well, yes, you're dealing with exchanges, so you can essentially, as your Securities Exchange Commission, you can essentially help make regulation and legislation with these exchanges that's helpful and needed. But you can't really bring them under the gun like securities. You'll have to have a new way of dealing with them because they're not operating like securities. All right, so, and that's just my basic understanding. I could be wrong, but I mean, I don't really think this is rocket science. I think a lot of people are trying to get over on this, and I think we need to pay attention. All right, so let's get to this last article because I got a little long-winded. So Russia expected to regulate crypto like foreign currencies. Wait, what? Foreign currencies? Because cryptocurrencies in fact are essentially foreign currencies to your native currency if you're in the United States, which you know as the dollar or the greenback. That's your native currency. And so all these other currencies are just foreign currencies to your native currency. So this is going to be a good article. Everybody buckle up for this one because I think Russia's got it understood. Well, Russia, you're late to the party. Bukele was like, he's going to really just deal with it because he already knew what he was looking at. Everybody's playing games right now. But Bukele, Russia, y'all do it and do it big. So it says, Russia has moved closer to regulating the crypto industry, with reports stating that the asset class will be treated like foreign currencies. Thank you. This is what we really need to be talking about. The Russian government and the country's central bank have reached an agreement on how to regulate Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in a plan to recognize digital assets as a form of currency. Yes, you heard that right. They're currencies. So their central bank has made an agreement. Okay, let's see what else. According to a document published on the Russian government official website on Tuesday night, a draft law is expected to be introduced by February 18th. Okay, well, let's get this done. The circulation of such financial assets will be regulated by the state with strict obligations for all participants in the professional market and an emphasis on protecting the rights of ordinary investors, reads the document. Now, here's the problem in that. Are you really an investor, or are you just trading your currency for another currency that you're going to use? you see, wordplay is really what it's all about, and that's why I like to just go find out the original meaning of these things. And I think more people should do that. Instead of just nitpicking and arguing with people, you should actually go find out the original meaning of these things. Because, when we talk about a currency, how are you investing in currency? Do you invest in US dollars when you go to work? No, not really. You go to work and they pay you in a US dollar. Okay, so when you exchange your currency out of another country for US dollars, are you investing in US dollars? No. When you are investing in US dollars is when you pick up bonds, right? Not stocks, but bonds that are US debt bonds. Then you're investing because you're trying to get you're trying to get the maturity of that debt bond, and that debt bond is what's going to pay you the dollars, right, with interest. So of course there's an investment when you buy a United States debt bond, secured bond. That's obviously what you're doing. But here, no, Bukele was trying to do a Bitcoin bond, which would have then been something to what you'd be doing as an investor. You'd be picking up that Bitcoin bond to redeem or receive it at maturity, all the money with interest. You see what I'm saying? So that makes sense, but not just cryptocurrency in general. So that wordplay can really get people tripped up. So it says, according to the local business publication Commerçant, the new legislation would bring cryptocurrencies into the same regulatory framework as foreign currencies. The proposal suggests that cryptocurrency purchases in Russia must be conducted only through licensed and locally registered companies with full user identification. So there is another booby trap. So cryptocurrency purchases in Russia must be conducted only through licensed and locally registered companies with full use. All right, so that's kind of taking the common person out of the loop, right? But let's see where this is going to go, because I think the trick is coming. There's a trick in their sleeve. In other words, the new legislation will allow banks to operate as intermediaries between users and crypto trading platforms. Okay. Exchanges and peer-to-peer marketplaces offering crypto trading services will also have to register as legal entities in Russia, which means opening accounts with authorized banks and satisfying all the requirements normally applied to traditional financial institutions. All right, so I knew it was in there somewhere, and there it is. So what's happening is, in Russia, what they're saying is, we're going to put all the responsibility on a bank. And the bank is going to be operating with the exchanges. So let's say, and this is what I think is happening. I could be wrong, but it really clearly looks like this. So let's just imagine a local bank says, okay, we need money to make our bank liquid, so we can loan out, right? So okay, they say, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and bring in some Bitcoin. So they bring in, I don't know, let's say 2 million worth of Bitcoin. So they get that off the exchange. So the bank is KYC to the exchange. We now know that this bank, blah, blah, has from this exchange, blah, blah, gotten 2 million worth of Bitcoin, and it's now in their bank's wallet. Okay, got you. Now this bank wants to do loans. So this bank then therefore can do loans off of the Bitcoin that they have. They can do bonds, contracts off the Bitcoin that they have. Now, also, this bank can store and hold. Now, you, the customer, you have a wallet, and you just can't go to the exchange and deal with the exchange, but they can. So you can then therefore bring your currency into their bank and then exchange with them, which gives you KYC direct to the bank. The bank knows you locally, who you are, your address, and everything else. So if there's any illegal transactions or corrupt activities, they know who you are, and they're dealing with the exchange. That takes away the criminal activity that happens in the dark with people and these exchanges directly. So I get that, I understand that, but that keeps the bank in place. So the bank is going to have to evolve at this point. So now just imagine you're dealing with the bank. Let's say your wallet, you have, let's say, $12,000 in your wallet in a few different currencies. So now these currencies get spent in the store. So you now know you can go to the store and spend your currencies, but you can also, if you so choose, you can store the bulk of your currency in your bank because they're keeping record. They KYC and they're going to protect your money, right? Because most people are used to banks and they like that type of stuff, the protection of a bank. So at this point, let's say you then store 10,000 of your value of your currencies you store them back in that bank, because we're dealing with currencies again. We're not really dealing with commodities or securities. So you then store that money in the bank. Then the bank takes your digital transaction like the exchange does, and they store it. So this means you got, let's say, 10, 20 different big exchanges that exist, and then you've got millions of banks that exist, local banks, and each local bank has their own wallet. Each local bank and their wallet is responsible for your currencies that you leave on their books. This is the sense what Celsius does right now. If you're not familiar with Celsius, get in the comments box and I'll do a video on it, or you can look it up for yourself. Doesn't bother me a bit. So this pretty much operates the same way that Celsius does, which is why Celsius needs to have a banking license for this purpose. Wow. So look, I'm not going to get too deep into this. I just want to go through some news topics, but if you guys want to hear more and discuss stuff like this, we can definitely do it. Just drop it in the comment box. But this is some really impressive news. Let me finish this article off and then go ahead and close this video out. It says, in addition, the new law will oblige foreign crypto exchanges to set up a separate office in Russia. Both local and foreign companies will have to check transactions for signs of illegal activity and to keep user transaction data for at least 5 years. Should the draft law be adopted, all cryptocurrency transactions over 600,000 rubles, which is about 8,000 US, would have to be declared with the Federal Taxation Service, FNS. Failure to do so could be considered a criminal act. So look, that's going to close this video off. We're moving forward, legislation, regulation, and I'm not doubting it, but we're probably going to see banks be that middleman between you and the exchange, just for the sake of illegal activities, criminal activities. And so I get it, I totally do, but this is going to then bring on full adoption. So I have cryptocurrencies, and I'm not running through a bank now, and if in the future for some reason they want me to go through a bank and not go through the crypto exchange directly, I get it. That's their laws, and I'm stuck doing that. I totally get it. I'll just take some money of mine to a wallet, bring it through the bank, and then swap it out, have them swap it out through the exchange and send it back to my wallet. I get it. It's not the end of the world. It's only a big deal if you're in the criminal activity. So it is what it is. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you got any comments, again, post them down below. To the next one.